The polyline representing the edge of garden beds through this zone has come from the AutoCAD environment. When that happens, you'll often see some strange results. If I select the polyline, and you see there are hundreds of control points through some part of, in fact, what's a fairly ugly curve. It's not a nice smooth curve. So what I'm going to do is to in fact remove the polyline, and if I do that, I'll delete it. I'm left with a few control points that I've put along the approximate line or approximate path that I want the garden edging to go. So I'll change to a layer edging. I'll go across to my entity snap, turn object snap on, and node on. So I've set a series of points approximately along the path that I want to work with. So now it's a matter of draw polyline, and I can just pick up very easily. Can you see that as we zoom in, we find the node or the point very, very easily. And so I can roughly set out my curve, and I'll remind you that we know the precise X and Y points. Point data is there. If I select a point, whoops, like so, we can get the X and Y position, and it's easy to snap to it. And so we can, say, set out a couple of arcs from a convenient point in the design, maybe from that corner of the house there to this corner up here, to swing a couple of arcs, and that will locate the edge of the garden bed rather well. Once the line's been drawn, of course, it's just a matter of picking curve fitting. So now we have a nicely curve fit line. You can try different, say a spline fit, which will run through the average of the points, may give you a nicer shape to your curve. And if you need to change it, you just hit on any of the vertices in this new polyline that we've built based on the points, and we can quickly and easily move them. We can then continue on and join the polyline all the way along, and we've got a nice flexible curve, and we've got the ability to get dimensional data to any one of these control points to help our construction team. Well, I've continued on extending the polyline, and if we select the polyline now, this new segment, can you see it runs all the way up to the back of the property and only has 40 vertices or 40 control points. The previous one had over 600. But I digress a little. What we now want to do is to join this new polyline that I've just added to the existing one. If I select them and right click and use the join option, you'll see that you cannot join those objects. The reason being, this polyline here has had curve fitting applied. You remember it was a fit spline. So if we turn it now back into lines and arcs, and we pick this one, right click and join, now we can pick the joined polyline and use fit spline, and we now have a really nice curve running all the way up to the back of the property. So we've achieved our aim. We've taken what was an awkward and rather ugly polyline that came from the AutoCAD environment and made it a much cleaner and more malleable garden bed edge. I mentioned that because we put control points all along our intended line of the garden bed edging, that we could give our construction team some useful information. This is a drawing from the US, so our units here are decimal feet. What I've done, and let's turn off a planting layer, so we have a L-planting layer. Let's remove the planting, and what I've done is to put 2 points, one at each corner of the house, and we can run a couple of distances from there for our construction team to locate that control point. To make it easier to see and to work with, let's go to point styles, and we'll just increase the size of our point marker. I'll say yeah, we'll continue, and now we've got rather an exaggerated point marker, but you can see the point sits at the corner of the house, and a dimension for this point here is 7 feet off there and 25.9 feet from the other corner. So we can simply use the dimension tools, use aligned, and I've left OSnap node on so I can pick up that point and go to that point there, and there is our new dimension for this next point. Let's repeat the dim aligned. We can easily pick up that point, and we need that one there and pop it in position. So we need pairs of distances, if you like, from known points to be able to locate. So we can locate this position by measuring 8-foot diameter circle, and this one 22.7 diameter, and away we go. It depends what you are after for your construction team. They may not need this number of control points, and you might just put some dimensions for some critical ones, and they can work things out in the intermediate thing. So a control point there, maybe this one here, and another one down there will give you the answers of what you need. So I have all of those dimensions have been drawn on a layer LDIM, so it's a comparatively simple matter here to turn the dim layer, I'll make the current layer 0, which is a good habit, and turn the planting layer on so our dimensions disappear, and we can go back to our format point styles, and we can say we can reduce them or not show them at all. I prefer to leave them on as small markers. So we're starting to make progress with our flexible curve denoting that garden bed. It's a comparatively easy job now to draw another polyline around there and work your way around the house to end up with a closed polyline, rather like we've done here for the house. So that's a polyline, sorry, not the house, for the path at the back of the house that leads into the grassed area at the back here. That's done with a polyline all the way around and then closed, so you could establish a darker background for the planting of the garden beds that run around the extremity of the house in that way. But this little tip series started because, let's unselect all, when we picked one of these somewhat ugly looking curves and we pick it, and you see we've got thousands and thousands of control points of vertices there, and for mine it's much more elegant to have a relatively simple shape. Remember that if you put a polyline down, and we'll come over here and do it, just separate your curve in that way, enter it, pick it, and apply some spline curve to it. Once you've done that, it's a very easy matter then to bend and move the polyline and control the shape. So although we went about it in somewhat cumbersome and clumsy way when we remove the earlier one, I would argue that it's really quite easy to draw over the top of that shape and improve it by the mechanism that we've just done. So I hope that little series of tips helps.